Welcome into Ravens Rundown. I am Tom Downey. On today's show, Devonta Freeman trade, Ronald Jones is a trade target, Nick Boyle's return, and Brandon Knight being really weird. Let's begin, though, with Devonta Freeman. ESPN and their beat writers for each team have named one trade candidate for each team, and Freeman was the pick for the Ravens. Now, part of Jamison Hensley, his rationale was, hey, teams had called the Ravens about a trade for one of their backs previously. As we'll get into, I wonder if Freeman is actually the guy other NFL teams want. I also question how much trade value he really has. Now, for the season, Freeman is ahead of Lev Bell, recently promoted to the active roster, so these are your four backs right now. Murray, Williams, Bell, Devonta Freeman. And Freeman's numbers, you go, oh, well, he's got 16 carries, 95 yards. That's intriguing. Yes, but he's got two big runs. It's been very much a feast or famine situation for Devonta Freeman. Now, snap count-wise, Freeman is very clearly behind Latavius Murray, Tyson Williams, who we'll also spend some more time on here momentarily, and he is ahead of Lev Bell, although with Bell now on the active 53-man roster, I suspect Bell is actually going to be working ahead of Devonta Freeman. Freeman's not a bad player, but at this stage of his career, I think he kind of borders on the just a guy. He's a replacement level back. I don't think there's a lot of interest. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's a lot of interest, though, in adding someone of Devonta Freeman's caliber across the NFL. Now, if the Ravens were to move one of their backs, who would you rather it be? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Type in LM for Latavius Murray, LB for Le'Veon Bell, TW for Tyson Williams, or DF for Devonta Freeman. I actually think Freeman maybe has the worst value of the group, and maybe Lev Bell right in there. I think it's Tyson Williams, Latavius Murray as the two more valuable backs right now, with Murray, at least for now, a little bit banged up. We'll see if he plays this week or not for Baltimore. Yes, Murray's got 16 carries for 95 yards. He's averaging over 6 yards a carry, right? Let's not forget that it's kind of inflated by a couple of long runs that Murray has had so far this year. So just keep that stuff in mind. Also worth mentioning, only 3 catches. I think the more likely outcome for Devonta Freeman, he's more like the guy we saw 2020 and 2019, under 3.7 yards per carry. Tyson Williams, as I've mentioned before, I actually think is the one that opposing teams called about, because he has not played much in recent weeks. He's been relegated to a backup role, but he's young and he's cheap. That's what other NFL teams want. They don't want old guys who they could have signed, just a couple of months ago. So what do you think? At any point before this year's NFL trade deadline, will the Ravens make a trade? 1 for yes, 0 for no. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So you go hit the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down, and let me know. From trading away a back to trading for a back. How about Ronald Jones? Fans cited named Jones a trade target, and I kind of get it, actually. The Ravens, objectively, have not had great play, especially what we're so accustomed to, from their backs this year, although injuries to offensive line certainly playing a big role in that. Jones, meanwhile, a former early second-round pick out of USC, has fallen out of favor with the Tampa Bay Bucks. It is the regular season Leonard Fournette show in Tampa. Jones this year, not great. Fumbling has long been an issue. He was an explosive player at USC, and unfortunately, haven't seen a ton of that this year. 31 carries, under 4 yards per a touchdown. But very quietly, Ronald Jones almost had 1,000 yards last year. He had over 5 yards per carry on 192 touches, 978 yards. I think the overall talent is still in there somewhere for Ronald Jones. If the Ravens could get him and add him to their offense, I actually think he would be a really good fit in Baltimore. And look, it would be a short-term thing because you get Gus Edwards back and J.K. Dobbins back next year, and long-term or whatever. But I think short-term actually makes quite a bit of sense. So maybe you don't want Ronald Jones, and that's okay. I understand Rojo's killed some fantasy owners before. So I want you instead, and it could be Rojo, I guess, if you want, but name a player who you guys want to trade for. Get those votes in for me right now in the comments section. Today's show is helped out by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. You can get a 125% deposit bonus when you use promo code CHAT125 at chatsports.com/bet. Again, head over to chatsports.com/bet, link right there at the bottom. Got to put down at least $100 using the promo code CHAT125 to get the 125% deposit bonus. Maybe you want to gamble on the Ravens to win this week. Here are my picks, which I almost put the Ravens on this, by the way. Dolphins plus 2.5 over the Falcons at home. Home dog. I like it. Saints minus 4.5. Ravens minus 4. Packers 7.5 against Washington. The Patriots 7.5 against the Jets as well. Those are my picks. Had a big run of 2 5-0 weeks, but I'm 2-3 back-to-back weeks. So, maybe you want to fade me. Either way, do it with BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code is CHAT125. Let's hit some good news now for the Ravens before we get into the weird bad news on Brandon Knight. Nick Boyle has been designated to return from IR, as is the case with, as you saw with Miles Boykin and Rashad Bateman. It's a 21-day window to practice, meaning Boyle is close. He might not be back this week, but he is getting closer to being back, and that's a very good sign for Baltimore. Nick Boyle is one of the best run-blocking tight ends, if not the best run-blocking option in the NFL. His stats in 2020, you go, well, this guy's not good at all. 14 catches, 113, 2 TDs, or at least if maybe you're not a Ravens fan out there. But I know Ravens fans know this. He is valuable as that run-blocking tight end. And I think the Ravens' run offense overall has felt the lack of Nick Boyle out there. We all love Mark Andrews for good reason. Everyone does, fantasy owners too. But Nick Boyle is one of the best tight end twos in the NFL. That's why, of course, he got paid a little bit recently by Baltimore. You got Eric Tomlinson, Josh Oliver. Those guys aren't the same caliber of blocker or even pass catcher, I would argue, as Nick Boyle. Now, if you guys want more Ravens videos all year long and for free, hit that big red button and subscribe. You see the link there at the bottom of your screen. If you haven't already, folks, and you want free Ravens videos right here from us at Chat Sports, go subscribe right now. Let's talk Brandon Knight and one of the stranger in-season stories you'll see, at least as of right now. Maybe something will change at some point in the near future. So the Cowboys had waived Brandon Knight because they had to make room for other players, and they felt good about Tyron Smith, plus La'el Collins coming back, blah, blah, blah. And they waive him, right? So the Ravens, thin on the offensive line, claim Brandon Knight. And Knight has now just not shown up for work. Didn't report to the team for what John Harbaugh called a personal decision. There's really no reason at this point beyond that. So, in a very unusual story, give me your one-word reaction to Brandon Knight choosing to not report to the Baltimore Ravens. Get your votes in for me in the comments. My one word is, what? Now, technically, my first reaction was, wait, what? But what? And then maybe, what the hell's going on here is your continuation. This makes no sense. An NFL player deciding, hey, I'm just not going to go to this new team is such a weird situation and very unheard of in the middle of a year. Does he not want to move? Because the Ravens retain his rights. His options are either show up and play for a contender, mind you, and maybe even get playing time given the way the Ravens have been cursed with injuries, or not go play football or get paid. It is a wild situation. So we will list Brandon Knight on the Ravens depth chart, even though for now he does not count against the team's 53-man roster as DNR, not dinner, but did not report. I guess he didn't want to leave Dallas, which is like, okay, I'm sorry, but you have no choice in the matter. It is a baffling situation that might end up getting maybe some movement in the coming days when Knight realizes he has to show up or he's never going to play football again. It's very unusual. It's very strange. We'll keep you updated on that and the rest of the Ravens O-line issues right here on Ravens Rundown. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe.